We have already created a new trade, as explained in a previous dedicated video, but our trade is currently empty since we have not added any positions to it yet. In this video, we will see how to add positions to our trade. For this example, we will be using one of Option Panel's paper accounts. In essence, the way you manage a trade is the same regardless of the type of account you are using. However, there may be some differences when it comes to configuring and sending orders to the market, which we will explain later on. In the lower left area of the screen, you will see two green buttons that allow you to add stocks or options to your trade, respectively. As an example, we are going to build a covered call, a strategy that involves both stocks and options. Let's start by opening the modal to add stocks. The stock symbol field is not editable, since it matches the underlying asset of our trade. In the action field, we define whether we want to buy or sell. In the number of stocks field, we enter how many shares we want to buy or sell. In this example, we will use 200. The stock price field shows the current market price of the stock at this moment. However, this field is editable, since you may want to simulate a trade that took place at a different point in time when the price was different. Imagine, for example, that these shares were actually bought some time ago at a price of $240. That would be the value you would enter here. While positions remain in draft status, you can play around with them however you like. This is especially useful in Option Panel's paper accounts. We save the changes, and now we can see our stock position reflected in the trade. Notice, and this is important, that the position appears in draft status. Whenever positions are added to a trade, they always start out as drafts. These drafts can later be confirmed or discarded if needed. Now, let's add two short call options to complete our covered call. To do this, we click on Add Option, which opens the option chain. We select the desired expiration date, search for our strike, in this case 290, and click directly on the letter S for Sell, which adds a short call option to our position. Notice how, on the right side of the screen, the risk graph updates in real time as you add options. However, since we have 200 shares, what we actually want for our covered call is to sell 2 contracts. To increase the number of lots, we can simply click on the letter S for Sell as many times as the number of contracts we want to sell, or adjust the lot indicator directly. If we change our mind about the strike we want, we can drag the option to a different strike by clicking and holding it with the mouse pointer. We could even drag it to a different expiration date. All of these changes let us see in real time how the risk graph evolves on the right-hand side. We can also close the option chain to get a clearer view of the graph. If we want to undo any changes, we simply go back to the option chain and click here. In summary, as long as positions remain in draft status, we can make as many changes to them as we like. Let's assume this is the final configuration we are happy with. At this point, we click on Trade, which opens the order ticket. We review the conditions of the order we are about to send and adjust anything needed, such as the number of contracts. Finally, we submit our order. Once the order has been filled, the positions no longer appear in draft status. Instead, they now appear as open, since they have become real positions. At this point, we could also simulate modifications to our trade, such as adjustments or hedges, before they actually happen. This is covered in detail in our dedicated video, What If Analysis, available in Docs. We highly recommend checking it out. Now, let's take a look at 3 important buttons available for managing your positions: Close, Trade, and Delete. All of these actions apply to the positions you have selected. If no position is selected in particular, they will apply to all positions in the trade, as you can see from the buttons themselves, labeled Close All, Trade All, and Delete All. Let's start with the Delete button. As its name suggests, it allows you to delete multiple positions at once. You should be especially careful with this button when deleting positions that are in open status within a real broker account. This action does not remove the positions from the broker itself. It only removes them from Option Panel. From that point on, those positions will need to be managed directly through your broker. Next, the Trade button. This allows you to increase the number of lots on positions that are already open. It does so by opening an order ticket that lets you buy or sell, depending on whether the position is long or short, the exact same positions you have selected. By default, the ticket opens with the same number of lots the positions already have. However, this number can be edited at any time, either for all selected positions together or individually for each one. Finally, the close button, which works in a similar way. It opens an order ticket with the inverse positions to the ones you currently hold, so that when the order is executed, it closes the selected positions. Now let's go back and take a closer look at something we mentioned briefly before: the ability to drag positions within the option chain using the mouse pointer while they are still in draft status. Earlier, we saw how to move an individual option between different strikes simply by clicking on it, holding, and dragging. Now let's see how we can move several options at the same time. To do this, we hold down Shift, click, and drag while holding. Notice how all the positions move together in the same direction and proportion. If we have multiple positions but only want to move some of them, we hold down Control and select the ones we want to move. They will appear highlighted. We then release Control and drag with the mouse. Finally, let's see how this feature doesn't only let us drag positions between strikes, but also between different expiration dates. We select the positions we want to move and drag them to the new expiration date from the ones available at the top of the option chain. Notice how, as we make any of these changes, the risk graph and the Greek's calculations update in real time to reflect them. These position movements are only possible while positions remain in draft status, and they are extremely useful for simulating different scenarios before settling on the final configuration of the trade you are about to open, or of an adjustment you are about to make. Before we finish, let's go over a couple of final comments about the order ticket. The first one is that occasionally when you open the order ticket, you may see an informational notice like this one. What this means is that the prices of the positions included in the ticket have changed from the moment you originally added them as a draft to the current moment. There's no need to worry. It simply means that if you execute the order, the actual prices of the positions might differ slightly from the ones you used as a draft when running your simulation. The second comment is that, in this video, we used as our example a trade executed in one of Option Panel's own paper accounts. Since these accounts are not connected to any broker, the order ticket only contains the basic elements, with no additional variants, as paper accounts do not support complex order types. However, when a trade is linked to an account from one of our integrated brokers, the order ticket can look quite different. It may allow for various order configurations or even complex order types, such as the example shown on screen. All of these variations don't depend on Option Panel itself, but rather on the order type supported by each individual broker, which means the design of the order ticket can vary accordingly. For that reason, in this same section within Docs, you will find a dedicated video for each of our integrated brokers covering the design and functionality of its specific order ticket.